So I stayed.
So plans have changed.
and then we did a big 180. Set timer. Okay, we're recording this
for 30 minutes.
There you go.
We've been here forever.
We have actually been here forever.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Life Podcast. And today's our first episode where we actually have a special guest, and we'll introduce her in a sec. But my name is Eric, and I'm here today with Benji.
Hello.
Tyler. And our special guest, Becky.
Hello.
Not to interrupt the intro. It was called Purple Place. Purple Place.
First of all, that's nowhere near cake, but continue.
It is cake,
right?
Guy. Look, it's cake.
Oh, it's a cake
Let me
game.
see.
It's a cake game.
Okay.
Nobody remembers this?
I don't.
No.
You guys are. Wow.
I thought you guys were day ones.
Yeah, me and HP, we go way back, guys. Back when
Apparently.
you could buy a laptop for like $2.95 all day long.
You don't
That was
remember?
top of the line stuff.
That was top of the line.
Like those games where it would be like, I don't even know if it was Gateway or Microsoft. I don't know, but it had like the pinball games, and then the guy that would ski, and no matter like how far down he'd get down the mountain, he'd still get eaten. And then like
Yeah, the preset but oh, sorry.
what?
I don't mean to like push you off the mic.
Triggered.
Well, all right.
No
yeah, all right. So they're
conversations are
the
gonna
preset Microsoft games for
Okay.
like Windows 98
The
and
only
like
one-
early
okay.
2000s.
The only ones I remember for the preset Microsoft game was like the miner game, like when you have the
Minesweep?
Minesweep, and then there was Solitaire, which was
That
my
throwback,
personal
yeah.
favorite because I have no friends when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
No, I had a couple, but
We all played Solitaire
we
together.
all played Solitaire together on separate screens. Oh god. But what was the other one? Oh, I know there was one that I never could figure out. It was a card game, but it was like a king. I can't remember. I would have
They all have
Free
Kings,
Call?
Eric.
free. Yeah,
Is it Free Call?
Cell? Free
Free
Cell.
Cell? Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, I could never figure that one out.
yeah. I don't know what that is.
I
either.
still don't know. I think as an adult, I still can't figure that game out.
Oh yeah, they had like the other one too, where it was like this little blonde kid, and it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't even a maze, but it was like a puzzle, and you had to like move him around and get different like colored keys, and they unlocked like different doors. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No. Oh.
Yeah, it was Chips.
Yeah, chip something.
You're probably not on the mic by
That's
the.
okay. I'll be that shadow in the
Which is
background.
Yeah. I thought I was like Bomberman. Does anyone remember
Hey,
Bomberman?
yeah, it was like Bomberman though. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Bomberman was a great game.
Basically the same game,
that
like
was
from that basic. I liked Bomberman. That was
What
a good
was
game.
the ship one?
Guys, we're really showing our age
know that
today.
Battleships?
No,
The ship one.
the space one.
Space-
Gallagher?
Maybe Gallagher.
When you shoot down the ships that are coming at you?
It's not console. like
Gallagher's nice. Gallagher's a solid game.
Yeah.
that. All right, guys. Let's send this ship on home.
Yeah, why do we bring up games?
We don't
'Cause you
have.
said it-
because
Oh yeah,
a
because you
gamer
look like a
chick.
gamer girl with the headphones on. That's right.
you
So I
guys
needed to
act
prove
like
myself.
one. We have a structure to this show. Two, you act like anybody cares how long this takes. It's like just talk. That's it.
I'll be the adult in the background.
Yeah.
Stay on course, guys.
Does anyone have anything they want to talk
Well,
about?
it's Labor Day.
That was yesterday's. Right?
Yeah.
Sound like my neighbors.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
I saw one of your neighbors. I saw that lady the other day when I was dropping Jose off at your house.
Behind the house? Oh no! Oh, sketchy neighbors.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just walked in. I was almost like gonna wave hi, but I didn't.
What's
I
up,
didn't.
Skeletor?
Yeah, these things happen.
Well, it's Labor Day, guys. I mean, whenever you're hearing this, is probably not going to be Labor
It's
Day
gonna
anymore.
be a week after Labor Day.
So it's a week after Labor
gonna
Day
be
for you,
next
but it's
Monday.
Labor Day for us, and
That
this
means
is
no more white pants.
Yeah, what's up with that? What's the rule? Is that the rule?
Oh yeah, we got
No
a
white
girl in here.
pants.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know the rules.
Just 'cause
Does
I'm
any
a
of
girl,
us?
You think I know?
Do you?
he said,
No.
please no.
I don't know. I think it has to do with preppy people, probably.
What? No, that goes way back before that.
I don't know.
Are you gonna look it
It's
up?
like no
Okay.
white. I don't know if it's just white pants. I think it's just no white.
I thought it was
after
no
Labor Day.
white. I thought it was either before or after Labor Day. No white.
It's after Labor Day.
No, white after Labor Day. That feels a bit.
Indeed, there are days before and after Labor Day.
Yes. Technically, every day is
But
before.
when does
and
that expire? That's what I want to know. Is it like January 1st? Like, okay, now you can wear white pants again? Like, when does that rule dissolve?
I don't know.
It's just after
Next Labor Day. Maybe you're just never allowed to wear white pants, and it's just perpetually like, oh, it's because it's after Labor Day.
Well,
You
think
can't-
about it. Who do you see that wears white pants?
I don't know.
How often
I've
do you see
probably
that?
owned a
They're
pair
gonna
of
say,
white.
"I
But
do."
yeah, I've probably owned a pair of white pants. Oh no, I do own.
You do.
I wore them yesterday. That's
Well, that's good. It's not tomorrow or today, so
They're not. Well,
That
they're not
was well
white, are
played.
they? They're like
Nah.
they're like cloth. They're not.
Like burlap.
Yeah, burlap. Yeah, they're like. I'm really going for like the Cuban Miami. Yeah, they are. They're like.
So the only thing I can find is I found 3 articles, and each one of them said a very similar thing, and that's like no one knows where it started.
God, some random dude.
I don't know why, but I feel like it was something that started like in Newport, like with really rich people.
I don't. They keep going back to like weather. So it's like but I don't feel like that would be a reason to make it a rule. I think it's more of a preference at that point. But it says like, while no one is completely sure exactly when or why this fashion rule came into effect, the
No.
best guess is that it had to do with snobbery in the
Yeah.
late
See,
1800s.
snobs. I told you.
and early
snobs.
1900s. But like this isn't a credible source. I clicked on a random. It's a mentalfloss.com. Who
Fair
knows what that's going to do for you?
No, that was definitely like
Disgruntled college student.
somebody was definitely like, you know what, Jennifer, you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day.
It was all just to bully
And that-
Jennifer.
that
and
was
then like
it.
three people overheard that, and then they thought it was true, and they just moved on.
I think that has origins like whoever told you in school that like you're gay if you wear yellow on Thursday.
Yeah, that was
Like,
another thing. Yeah,
Where did that come from?
That was very.
Mean Girls, like Pink Wednesdays or something from Mean Girls. Is that a thing?
Yeah, no, we don't know anything about that.
Unfortunately, I'm not in the mean girl category.
It was definitely somebody was having like an argument. It's like, you're gay. It's like, why? It's because you wear yellow on Thursday.
Same thing happened. 3 people overheard that.
And
Now it's a
that's it.
rule.
That's the end of it. That was the whole origin.
We got bullied into this. This
Yeah.
is literally what that is.
Everybody gets a bully. That's the origin of all. So, what was that quote that you were saying yesterday? Like, tradition is like peer pressure by dead people or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's exactly what it is. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people.
That's what fashion is too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these things, like, now that I read that, I thought that was a legitimate thing. I thought it was like, no one even knows where it came from. We just guess maybe it came from this time period at some point
Nice.
by this class of people. Like, what?
Fair enough.
So I don't know.
Maybe it had something to do with like, because I know certain pigments were more expensive than others, so maybe like that had something to do with it.
Well, wouldn't you want people to buy them more then?
I don't know. Like, is white a pigment?
Isn't-
I
isn't
don't
one-
know.
You're the
Like,
one with the piece of paper that says that you know what you're talking about.
I don't like. Well, I don't know because I know like purple and blue, like those were pigments that were really hard to find, and they were like a sign of wealth.
Well-
but like, because cotton's white.
I
so
don't know exactly how to make all I understand about the color white is like every color blended into one.
That's
is
light.
In light.
That's what
In
makes the
if
color
you do
white.
that with
Pigment is
paint,
the other way around.
Oh,
No.
other way around.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, then I completely check out of this conversation.
No.
If you have, he's
I
right.
guess.
If it's light, like all colors converge in light, they make white. But if you get like all the colors of the rainbow and paint, mix it together, it's like poop brown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Oh,
It's
sweet.
legit.
I'm glad it's very
Sweet.
consistent stuff. That's good.
That's the So I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if there is like any like if anybody knows.
Yeah. Shoot an email. Why not?
Yeah.
I'd love to read that email. It's at TheLifePodcastShow@gmail.com. We got that down now.
Absolutely.
All right, boys. So
And
and
Oh,
gal.
we have we can actually make a new email.
Yeah.
We can. We sure can. Actually, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause that's
shoot,
like-
that's awesome. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Well, keep your eye on for that, or your ear out for that. Oh, so anyways, like I was gonna say, so what are we talking about today, guys?
We're talking about absolutely nothing. Oh, there was something that I wanted. I forgot what it was. Oh no, I was gonna write it down.
Nope.
Rip. No, that was it. I'm sorry, gone.
See, I've been asking you for hours. What have we been talking about? What are we doing?
You got something to talk about?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Nah. Well, I mean, let's take advantage of our guest while she's here, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Go
There we go. Nobody really introduced Becky or let everybody know who she is or what she
That's
does.
because we started talking about gaming and stuff, and then I got sidetracked.
And then be like, "Oh, you're the one with a piece of paper that gives you credentials."
Yeah, fair
listen.
enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I was on like a track of introducing her, and then I got sidetracked by gaming. Go back to the first like 30 seconds of the episode. I was going good. I was about to introduce you hard, but go ahead.
All right, rewind, remix. Go ahead, Eric. Go.
All right. Well, we're here with Becky Sullivan. And actually, she's an incredible human being that I've come to know for over the last year.
Has it
And
been a year?
it's been just about, maybe a little over.
Little.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's right. We spent.
When you're making dollars. Clock don't stop, boys.
Becky is a heavy part of our behind the scenes. She's done a lot of artwork for this podcast show. She's really helped us out in every aspect that she can. She's also an art major. She has a bachelor's degree in exactly
Studio art.
studio art. I wasn't sure what
That's
the
what this
exact
is?
That
name.
one.
Yeah.
The correct title is, well, I'm not an art major anymore. I'm a graduate.
Art graduate.
Yes, I have the paper.
I didn't even realize that you could start saying stuff like that. Anyways, go ahead.
I walk the walk, Eric.
yeah.
Eric's like, I've had my piece of paper for a while. I still don't tell people nothing.
Yeah, nobody knows.
So I
book full of them.
I got my degree in studio art with a concentration in printmaking.
Okay.
Wow. It's very specific.
Very
I know.
specific. Well, talk about it. What made you want to do that?
I grew up drawing. I didn't have video games. My mother instead gave me paper and just paper.
Good mom. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good mom.
We hated it as children, but now that I'm older, it definitely paid off. But I've been drawing my whole life, and once I got to college, it was like, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, this is fun. I'll keep doing this. So I went to Rhode Island College and got into printmaking because that was the only major that really dealt with illustration. Everything else was like painting is, well, we have a saying in the printmaking shop, printmaking is drawing with ink and painting is drawing with mayonnaise.
Wow.
It's very true.
You can do a lot of things with mayonnaise, apparently.
Why
But
do
go
all
ahead.
of our conversations revolve around mayonnaise?
Continue.
Anyway, but yeah, so I went into printmaking, which is literally like, it's all so outdated and it's the most complicated way to get an image onto a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's the idea where the main form of printmaking is lithography. So it's these slabs of limestone they quarry somewhere like in Africa. And you basically draw your image on the stone and you have to go through all these chemical processes so that when you roll ink onto the stone, the image is the only thing that gets ink on it. Because if you do the chemical process wrong, you can spend hours on a drawing, go to ink it, and the whole thing just turns black. So
Nice.
First day on the job.
yeah,
You've been here for 2 years. I know.
Sounds like me in After Effects.
painstaking process. But there's different kinds of lithography and stuff. So, long story short, I drew on rocks for 4.5 years.
That's legit.
Yeah.
You professionally learn how to be a caveman. This is beautiful.
Ah, wonderful.
But the thing with the art department is once you pick your concentration, like you're marked as like that's your department. So you got the painters, you got the jewelry makers, you've got the filmmakers, the photographers. But the way I did it, I was kind of everywhere. So no one really knew what I was. I would just appear in like random classes. So I did a lot of digital media. I did photography. Photography was probably the second thing I did most in college.
Now, you explain all this in many other industries, once you learn like those basic things like that, it makes you better at what you do. Like if you learn the basics of a camera, you can use a digital camera a little bit more better. And then anything in analog for music too. Once you learn the analog side of it, it makes you better on the digital side. Is that the same concept for you? Did it make you a better artist everywhere else?
Yeah.
Learning the basic chords like that?
Well, there was something when I was growing up, I wanted to make comics. That was what I really wanted to do, like as I started getting into drawing more. And I had an art teacher back in like 7th grade, and she said, before you can distort something, you have to know how to...
Got to know the rules before you can break them.
Exactly, that's what she would say. So it was that concept of, I think if anything else, I was self-taught up until college. If anything, it sharpens your creativity. It exposes you to different principles that you were aware of, but you didn't know how to articulate it before. So things like composition, color theory, proportioning, like there were ways that my skills were fine-tuned that looking at it now, it's like, okay, this is the formula to achieve this and this and this. And I think the biggest thing I probably learned was like, it's amazing because it's all basics, like composition and proportioning and everything like that. It's like, it's kind of this idea of like you can be all over the place with an idea, but the idea of like going back to basics, it gives you a foundation to build on. So then in the future, you can go back and like, oh, this plugs into photography, this plugs into cinematography, this plugs into graphic design. So it's creatively, it kind of just branches out into everything. So
that's actually pretty cool. It's something that we talk about a lot in this show too. The ducks are here. Those are the ducks. Those are the famous ducks.
I drew that duck.
That is something that we talk about a lot in the show too. Is like the concept of you have to learn the foundations of things so that you can better build on top of it. You can't just go out and buy the best equipment without learning how to actually use the equipment, because then you kind of just have a lot of expensive equipment and not enough skill to use it. But we're gonna get deeper into Becky's life, and we'll be back after the break. Stay tuned.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast.
That's awesome.
I'm not a psychiatrist, but I have seen a few.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
You're gonna have to bump the audio so high when Tyler.
It's gonna be hard because like they're on the same
on
the same track.
Oh yeah, you can't like split it. Yeah, you don't want to do a ton of editing work too. That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, but
I'll just make the comments from far away.
Oh yeah, that makes it better.
Yeah, that makes everything worse. All right. Well, we're back. And I feel like I've been talking a lot. So Benji,
You're gonna destroy the audio clips.
yeah.
Does this help?
We have a system.
So we never named this duck, but we got the rubber duck. Just
You never named it?
No, we call it the life.
Yes.
That's a little blasphemous, but okay.
LaFay.
LaFay.
No, we haven't named the duck yet. No,
You haven't
I don't know
named
if
the
that's This episode's gonna be a trip.
That's a weird duck.
Oh yeah. Where is that?
You're the one who had it.
I thought I gave it back to you. It's probably in my old car. I gotta grab it before that car gets.
You should name it something
taken
like
somewhere.
really regal, like Caesar.
I thought you said you should name it something like Billy Regal. I was like, what?
We'll just name the duck Seagull.
Seagull.
He's gonna be so confused about his identity. It'll be great.
Eyelash.
William Eyelash. That's the name of the duck.
I think we should let our Patreon supporters name our duck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sounds
So we got a couple names on the board. Let's see which one gets more.
Speaking of boards, are we gonna get that whiteboard?
This is.
It's just a matter of going to Home Depot.
Yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
it's definitely not a budget
Home
thing.
Depot.
Yeah.
Well, $13 for a panel is not.
Yo.
Nobody's gonna cry about that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Can't afford $13 when you start a business. Like,
Yeah.
do it.
You know, Eric last night. How hard is it to run a competent company? Well, we're gonna figure it out, Eric.
Oh, all right. So I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'll continue to talking. So before the break, we dove a little bit into Becky's life, and while we were on the break, you had mentioned something interesting, which was continue.
Something that's not interesting at all.
No, it was the fact that what was frustrating about like graduate. Now that you're a graduate, the expectations that you had and other people's expectations in a way.
Yeah.
So talk about it.
Well, I say it's not interesting because like it's literally the opposite of where I would want to be right now. So for
That's
me,
what makes
feels,
it most interesting.
It's so boring. But well, it's the idea of like you work your way up to this, work your way through college, get your degree, and there's so much expectation because you've spent the last 4.5 years and however much money you spent to go to college to do something big, be something great, and you get to the end of it and it's like, now what? And there was so much, like, I come from a big church, but I grew up in it. My family's really well known in it, so I kind of grew up with, like,
People were always in your life.
people were always in my life. They were always asking about it. They had high anticipation because they saw, like, my talent from a really young age. They saw all this potential, so it was a lot of expectation from that. I personally have always felt that I'm here for something significant, so it was always that. College was always a thing in my brain that was keeping me from it. So it's like, okay, you want to go do this. I had a lot of things I wanted to do, but because I was in school, I wasn't able to do them or afford them. So I was like, okay, after college, that's when you can hit the ground running. That's when you can start really living your life. And then college ended and I hit the biggest wall and I literally realized, like, it was so disorienting because, number one, you've been in school since you were 5 and that's gone. So that, like, that obligation you have every year, that thing you kind of have to work your life around is gone. So then it's like, okay, what is my life revolving around? And I had gotten a job at Starbucks right before I finished.
Not
so
sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Yet. TBD. But
cover the logos.
but like, so now it's like, so I'm just a barista, and it was.
Sorry.
I know. And it was.
You're in love with a barista
too. All the times I've listened to this podcast, and Tyler has just nonchalantly like, yo, why would you go to college and waste your degree on something like studio art? And Benji just like interjecting, like
yeah,
isn't your girlfriend? That had have words after, but anyway, so it was like. I finished school and even people like I would see, they're like, oh, you're done with school, and that's always the big question. Like, what are you doing now? Are you like
I live in a van down by the river.
I drive a van.
Yeah. You're only one step away then. So that's an attainable goal.
The epitome of success.
Exactly.
But like, and I would tell them like, I'm just working at Starbucks, and the genuine like disappointment on their faces was just like
jeez, bitches.
You have something
What
to
do you
say?
mean? That's like Hollywood 101. Like, you work at Starbucks, you go to Spielberg's releases, that's like 1-2 punch right there,
The minute you hit the pleather, it's in the clear.
Starbucks funds the movie industry.
But honestly, after I graduated, I hit the biggest downward spiral I've ever hit in my life, and it was the following 3 months after I graduated had been literally hell and the worst time of my life, and to the point where everything in my life has been literally stripped down to square one. My finances, my health, my economic life, everything, and I'm literally starting everything from scratch, and it feels so unfamiliar and uncomfortable because one, I'm learning to be more independent. I'm learning to be self-sustainable as an adult. I'm learning how to just be in the adult world, like, and basic things like just showing up to work even when you don't feel like it, and learning how to take care of a car. And because I was very like protected and taken care of as a kid, so now that I'm an adult, I'm kind of like a late bloomer in that sense, where like college was always like my responsibility. Now that responsibility's gone, so it's like, okay, real world stuff now. So, and it's amazing how like the most mundane stuff is so challenging, but it's so important for the future. So it's this really weird in between of like you're meant for something fantastic, but to get there you have to go through the mundane first.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm listening to the story and it sounds like you're kind of just not in the same place because you're further than you were, but very similar place where like you went to art school and you learned the foundations of art that made you a better artist. Now you're finished with school, you got that completed, you're finished, and now like life is going to give you the foundational pieces that you have to get good at, so that you could be better at living life, the life that you want to live, essentially. So that's what I think that exactly what the process was, because I think a lot of people when they finish college they go through the same thing. It's not just you. It's like a lot of people finish college and they've been in school since they were 5, and that's the only thing that they know. And now that that part is over, the structure that was created for them is done. Now you have to figure out how do I live? What do I want to do with all this extra free time that's actually in a way that makes me feel good and that hopefully can pay a bill or whatever it is that your goal is. And everyone comes from different backgrounds, so they have different things that get in the way. But I think that where you are is very common. And I think it's important to remember that it is like a foundational building experience that you're going through. And that's what makes it most interesting. It's like you feel like, oh, I finished school. But at the end of the day, we never really finish school. Every day's a lesson. And we're always learning something. Like the foundational parts of life is what makes the future better. If we can't figure out how to pay our bills on time, and we can't, I'm not saying that's you, but I'm saying just a very general topic. Like
Netflix is knocking on my door right now.
Yeah, Netflix is just banging there. I'm gonna repo your TV.
I know. That's a skit.
But yeah,
I know you're sharing me with 10 other people.
Yeah, and you're still not paying. And
Still not yet.
Yeah.
It's your girlfriend, your sister's ex-boyfriend's account.
yeah, whatever.
The whole crew.
Yeah, the whole crew. So shout out to Netflix for still letting that be a thing.
And still being trash.
Still being
Still being trash. But no, it's important to keep that in mind, that you are building foundational pieces, and you have to steadily get through these. And that, I think we've all been there where we have to learn, we're still learning I'm still learning foundational things. I can't speak for everybody. I'm still learning foundational things. And you get good at it and you think oh, I'm good, and then all of a sudden you kind of let off the gas a little bit, and then all of a sudden you realize you let it slip again. And it's very simple things, small things like that, and just being consistent is really key. Now, you said that you wanted to finish college before you started, right? And then you were saying that you wanted to do when you graduated college, you had an expectation that you were going to start your career, essentially. So, but you wanted to wait till finish college before starting.
There were different things I wanted to do. I paid for college myself, so
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It helps.
So for everyone who has an expectation of you, just the fact that you did that,
Dave Ramsey would be proud.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey would be over here applauding, and I'm gonna applaud for him.
Factoid for people that are looking into colleges, just because it's like an Ivy League school, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I wanted to go to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, which is this big to-do art college, but it's $58,000 a year.
Nice.
And that's, I think that includes room and board, but even still,
probably not.
I went
Never.
to Rick, and when I first started, it was $7,000 a year.
Nice.
And all of my teachers, I would say maybe 80% of them were adjuncts from RISD. So I got a RISD education.
That's pretty cool.
For it was the Groupon of college. But
whatever you got to do.
But that was the other thing. Literally every aspect of my life was poured into college. So financially, emotionally, everything was I'm paying for school, so I have to pour everything into this. But my plan was to actually go into filmmaking. That was always what I wanted to do. So I would because I initially enrolled as a film major, but I thought to myself, I was well, with art, you're really sharpening your creativity. And I think that's a little more important. You can always learn about the industry later. So I wanted to take that college opportunity to learn more about art and then apply that to filmmaking. So I took a lot of production classes and film in there. And my plan was to finish at Rhode Island College and go to film school in Georgia. But then I met this dude, so I stayed.
So plans have changed.
and then we did a big 180. And everybody just jumped ship for some reason.
Well, let's bring it back to context now. Seeing that we're all talking as the studio. I mean, all of us really kind of abandoned ship. Whatever plan we thought we had a gift that just fall right in our lap and say, hey boys, what are we doing? Are we throwing it all on black or what?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really worth the shot.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that we we've all been doing this for a long time as far as like living in our lives, and when you come together with the right people, and things just start to click, and things just kind of start falling on your lap in a way, and it's the least amount of friction. There's always going to be some sort of friction no matter what, but I mean, I always say this to anyone that I work with or anyone who comes to me for advice as far as like, oh, how do I follow my dreams, or how do I figure out what my passion is? It's like, it's the stuff that you don't have to try so hard to do. It's the stuff that just happens, and you just always find yourself in it, and you always enjoy doing it, and you're really good at it.
Well,
and
we've had the podcast conversations where it's like, well, there's things that you do, like we talked about it as I talked about it as a musician, but all of us agreed it's like there's things that you're sick or you're distressed if you do it, and you're distressed if you don't do it. Those things that are constant throughout your entire life. And I mean, when we all just came together, it was like the right petri dish or the right like primordial soup to just like bring forth this beautiful creation.
It's very scientific.
That's it.
that was good.
It's true. The gunk, yeah.
So it's either like a T-Rex is gonna come out, or like this beautiful studio.
Yeah, whatever comes out of it's gonna be beautiful either way.
To build off of what Eric was saying a while back, from moving from one aspect of your life to another, we talk about this idea. I've explained this as driving a manual car. Again, not the best at driving manuals, but the concept is the same.
Sorry.
Where we have a video of that happening, so nonetheless, that's coming out soon. The idea, the idea that it's like, it's scary to shift from first gear to second. Because if you look at just the RPMs, all it does is slam back down. And that's the scary part, because if you don't look at the speed at what you're doing, you only look at the RPMs, you just went from 6,000 down to 2,000. So you go and you're like, what did I just do? I just made a massive change in my life, and what's happening? But if you're not looking at the speed, if you're actually moving faster, you're actually accelerating, but if you're only looking at the RPMs, you think that you've just gone and taken a massive step backwards.
Yeah, there's an art between like feeling and what you see. A lot of us get scared based off of what we see. All of a sudden, the bank account takes a dip, or all of a sudden, the people in your life turn around and run away. And that's scary, because you get to a point where it's like all the things that you were comfortable in all of a sudden go away, or are no longer there. But you have to. But if it feels right, like the best way to drive that manual car is to hear it and to feel it, so that you're not looking at the RPMs. Eventually, you get to that point where you could do that. And at that point, you don't care about what you see. You already know that the progress is going to come. You're going to get to 80, 90, 100 miles an hour.
Maxed out, boys.
Max it out, but like
legal reason 65.
yeah.
Maxed out at 65.
yeah. Just for anyone listening, 65 is the speed limit. Okay.
Rip the Rari at 65 in 8th gear.
But
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I thought I heard the ducks flying by.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the ducks have come and gone, so we will be back, and stay tuned.
What did you call me?
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Don't throw those graduate words at me. I know English.
Words like debt.
Yeah.
I took
Finance.
I took sign language as a second language, so I couldn't.
I know a few words.
there goes the coffee.
Wonderful.
Oh
No.
man. So, we're back from the break. Becky's been sharing an amazing story of like just her
Conquest.
her journey, her journey throughout.
Excalibur.
Tales of conquest and pillage.
Yeah. It's like, that's what it sounded like he was running into.
Well, with the gaming headphones on, it looks like it fits.
What's that quote? Like, women in lakes distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Yeah, it's like.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that's from. That's
Monty
good.
Python.
Yeah.
Oh, no. All right, I didn't watch that. All right. So, I kind of lost my train of thought, which is fine. We're gonna wing it.
We derail a lot of trains on this show. I'll tell you
we,
that much.
we really do. I usually get derailed a lot.
Poor Thomas.
What?
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom.
That's a
Thomas-
t-shirt.
Poor Thomas.
Thomas.
If that wasn't gonna be like a copyright issue, I'd be all
Thomas.
about it.
What was it? What was it?
And so I said to myself, I said, Thomas,
Yeah.
because that's what I call myself. Thomas, you should buy a bike.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
That's how you just tell all your stories.
It's the monologue over the video.
All right. Well, action.
Absolutely.
We talk about how scary it is to, we were talking about right before the break, the idea of, you see, you react based off of what you see and not what you feel. And sometimes it takes you away, and it takes you, it kills motivation. It kills you in a way that it's just so derailing in a way. But you were saying specifically, like in your life, when you didn't see the progress in that you were expecting to see, and I think that's like really derailing. And you were mentioning on the break, like seeing other people in your age group or even younger than you. Sometimes I was sharing a story, like when I watch baseball and I see 19-year-old prodigies that are going to make millions and millions of dollars, having the time of their life, and then it's like I'm 20. I'm 20 blank, okay? I'm 27.
Yeah.
And,
Really? I don't think you're allowed to do that in your 20s.
What?
Like, not reveal your age.
Absolutely. You can.
Okay.
Don't tell me what to do. But anyways, so
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember. It's something that we've talked about on the show before, and it's like the idea of comparing your life to other people, because they showcase, especially with social media as a thing. And we compare and contrast our lives up to someone's standards that they are setting because they only showcase the best part of their lives. They only showcase the good times. They only showcase the happy things that they do. And they don't really talk about, the struggles, because they struggle every day. Everyone does. This isn't like,
You don't see the cost they had to pay.
Exactly, because they don't showcase it. And you can't blame them for that. Why bother, right? If they're going to follow you for the good stuff, why are you even going to showcase the bad stuff? And that's just a good business model, right? It's just less work for you to do. But we compare ourselves, like, even as us as a company, when we're going, we can't compare our podcast to a company that has like a $500,000 budget, and they have like a full production team, and they have a bunch of cameras running from a bunch of different angles. We can't compare to that because we're on two different plateaus. They've been doing it for 30, well, maybe not 30 years, but they've been doing it for like 5+ years versus we started 3 months ago. So there's definitely like different things that you have to take into account when you're comparing and contrasting your life. You have to compare apples for apples and not just a random like, oh, that person, I want to be like them. Wow, they're everything is looks beautiful over there. You guys can jump in at any point if you guys have anything to add.
Well, I think it comes down to focus. What are you focusing on? Because it's very easy to look around. It's very easy to, it's just being on your phone, Instagram and Facebook and everything, and everybody's putting out what's going on in their lives, what they're producing, and even just the day-to-day, like if you're getting discouraged with where you are, it's like, what are you focusing on? And the times when you don't feel progress, and it really comes down to like, what's your hope in now? Like for me, it was, I would get discouraged because I was also very sick after I graduated. So all I could see was that I was sick. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I was making, minimum wage salaries with, grumpy, snobby people.
That affects you in a lot of
cup
ways.
Exploded on me. I'm like, I didn't make your cup. I'm sorry, but it was.
That was like the most like innocent, like it wasn't me.
I make minimum wage, lady. I'm sorry, but like, I had to, and I'm still learning it now, and trying to build this skill now. Is just, what are you focusing on? Like, I have a hope, and I was actually talking to Raisla last night, and it was the idea of like every season, even if it's hard, it has to end eventually. So it's like, are you willing to stick through it? Are you willing to find the bright spots? Are you willing to acknowledge you're not going to stay here? It's not going to be forever. And understand that the hard times are the times that are going to build your character. They're going to give you a thicker skin. Like the last 4 months of my life, I think, have given me more character and more endurance than any other time in my life. And it's a kind of strength I've been looking for, kind of confidence and boldness I've wanted for a very long time, and I didn't know how to get there. And I would be frustrated with myself because there were things I wanted to say, there were things I wanted to do, ways I wanted to think, but I didn't know how to get there. But it's the idea of, I hadn't really gone through anything that exceptionally difficult before. Like now I can see that the hard things, quote unquote hard things, or new things that are coming at me are making me stronger. And it's the idea of like this thorn in your side, this thing that's frustrating you, that person at work that you can't stand, the financial struggle you're in, the sickness you're going through. Look at it as an opportunity to grow. Look at it as an opportunity to say, I've never been here before, but I'm going to be able to look back and say, I've been there before and I'm out of it and I'm stronger for it. I have a really close friend. She recently got married and now she has a kid. And I was just talking to her. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, how do you just go from one phase to another? Because it was blowing my mind just seeing people our age actually like doing things and, you know, like getting out of their parents' house and being able to afford things. And now you've got a kid you can support. And I'm just like, how do you do it? And she said, it's not that things get easier. It's I get stronger. So it's understanding that when you go through life, you can't expect things to get easier, but you're going to be able to handle things better.
That's good.
So we know that through all these struggles and everything, we know that trials and tribulations, they make us perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And that's really the end result. Like, you're not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to build that endurance without those trials, without going through the hard things, without actively participating and saying, you know, I need to make this harder for myself, or I need to struggle a little bit. I need to come out of my comfort zone so that I can actually grow as a human being and have some extra perseverance, some extra endurance to be able to get through to the next phase of life.
Yeah, it's tough too, because I think that a lot of people get stuck with the idea of, oh, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, like the pressure's a little bit too high right now, and then that's it. Like, this is maxed out. I'm not going to do anything else. And it's like there's like the 80-20 rule or whatever it is in the military. It's like, oh, when you think you're maxed out, you're only 20% up to your true whatever it is. And it's like, I think that that's true with a lot of different aspects of our lives, where it's like, okay, people think that they're maxed out, and they're like, I've seen this in my life. We talked about this.
You talked about it in the podcast. You're like, yeah, when I started this, I felt like I was maxed out.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I'd take that as a vacation.
Yeah.
But it's true, and it's like, I think that you only learn how maxed out you weren't later on down the road. You know, and I think that's always a good thing to look forward to.
Sometimes that endurance too, it's like a balloon. Like, you'll hit a cap, or we talked about that lobster example that got shared. Like, sometimes you have a shell that's so big, then once you push against the sides, you have to shed that skin and you get into the next shell.
As uncomfortable as it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it's a stretching process. It's a growing process. It's like, okay, I hit the ceiling now. You push the ceiling, and then you have a next cap, and it always continues to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the best thing I could say is when you do feel that uncomfort, that discomfort, that means you are growing. You know, that's a good thing. You know, what scares me is when I don't feel anything. You know, if I don't feel the discomfort, if I don't feel like anything is happening and everything is just like a stalemate, and that's when I get scared. Yeah, because I haven't had that in a long time, thank God. But like, that would be the moment where I would be worried.
Listen, you got your boys. We'll make sure that it's as uncomfortable as possible the whole time.
I'll tell you, I'm sure it's gonna get much more uncomfortable, but the last 3 months have definitely increased the discomfort, and I'm sure the next 3 months are gonna be even better.
It's also like, if you have friends who jump off of cliffs, playing golf is not acceptable. No. Like, it's like,
you are completely right. Like,
like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's, especially with this generation, the idea of being uncomfortable is such like big no. Like, if you're uncomfortable, there's a problem, and your life should be easy. And
I need a safe space.
I know. I need to go on vacation, and I need to go on sick time. But like, I had to learn the lesson. It's okay to not be okay. Because in my brain, it was black and white. Either you're going to have a great day and it's going to be awesome, or you're going to have a crap day and it's going to be awful and you're going to feel awful. There was no gray area.
Well, that okay to not be okay, you can be hurt and still be okay.
Yeah.
You can be uncomfortable and still be okay. You can be maxed out and still be okay.
Absolutely.
But in my brain, it was like, even with work, I was like, if I can't do my best, why go at all? And that was a pride issue with me. It was like, I can't do my best, so that'll soil my reputation, so I might as well call out, which doesn't, it gives you a flaky reputation, so you kind of sacrifice one thing for the other. But now I'm learning it's like, no, there's even more character, and like, I feel like crap today, but I'm still going to go to work. And then realizing that everybody at work is, you know, and I had to learn too, like it's, you kind of let your problems follow you, but you don't let them dictate your life, especially when it comes to like things like anxiety or depression. I think it's incredible when people can still go through their day but not be monopolized by their emotions. And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, okay. But like I had to learn that too. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm completely overwhelmed with anxiety right now. I can't get out of bed. I can't move. No, it's an emotion. It's not you. It's not who you are. Let it follow you. Detach yourself from it and go through your day feeling anxious and look at it kind of like from a third person perspective. Is like, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to go do this because this is just what I have to do. Anxiety is probably going to be there, but I'm still going to do it.
So we talked about this a lot, especially as, I guess business owners, seeing that we started a business, and coming from business backgrounds, Benjamin and I, business families, it's better to have that employee that shows up and you can consistently expect one product from them, even if it's 70%, but it's 70% every single day. Then somebody comes in, gives 100, and then doesn't show up for 3 days and then gives 100. And you're like, I don't know if I can ever depend on this person. Yeah, I would rather invest into the guy who consistently brings 70% to the table, because I know I'm always going to have that 70%, rather than am I going to get 0 or am I going to get 100?
Absolutely.
We talked about, this is an interesting issue to have, because I don't remember if we talked about it on this show or on a different show that Tyler and I had, but whatever. Nonetheless, we talked about the concept, the difference between perfection and exemplary work.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that some people, if they cannot reach 100%, they're not going to do anything.
And well, Becky nailed it. That's a pride problem.
And that's a very dangerous situation, because a lot of people are like, especially with this Instagram culture and the idea of everybody's in Malibu and everybody's partying and Ibiza, like that's not happening. So it's like there are people who are doing it, but the majority of us are not.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, if I can't live that lifestyle, then I'm just going to work my minimum wage job for the rest of my life and I'm going to live on welfare, and I'm just going to because if I can't be a millionaire with a yacht, then I don't want to do anything.
And it's overnight. It's not even like embracing the process. It's like you don't understand the process that brought them there to begin with. So if my life doesn't look like that out the gate or tomorrow,
absolutely,
it's like I'm not even going to push towards it.
Or even like, I saw this person start a company and they became a multimillionaire, so I'm going to start this little thing and I'm going to go to work 2 days out of the week, you know, and why didn't my business work? It's like, because you didn't work, because you didn't do anything. It's like, oh, why did that guy get promoted and I didn't? Because you didn't show up. Like, what do you expect to happen?
Well, that was one of our one takes the other day, and Eric asked a question behind the scenes. He said, like, what's the difference between 70 and 90? Because 70 is a passing grade. Said if you have somebody who consistently gives 90 versus consistently gives 70, that's the difference in the promotion.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is good.
We have anything else? We can wrap this up. You want to add another 2 minutes or so?
That's it. We can add 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll add another 2 minutes to this.
All right. Anybody else got any closing comments? This was an awesome experiment. It was nice to have a guest.
Yeah, it was very fun. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming by, Becky. Really appreciate it. I'm sure you would have done the same thing even if we were recording at 6 a.m.
Probably.
Probably.
Give or take the 40-minute drive to get here. Yeah.
You wake up at 3 a.m. and
that's just clock don't stop, boys. That's the lifestyle.
It's a construct.
You don't have to wake up if you don't go to bed.
Exactly.
That's right.
I need my sleep. Some people like that's the difference
like
between
us.
like Tyler and I. Like he can't go with he'll get hangry. Like if he doesn't eat, I can go without eating. It's fine.
Really?
But if I go without
sleeping,
sleeping,
I can't go without eating.
But I mean, like it's more like a second. Like, oh, I should probably eat something. I don't think about it. But if I don't sleep, ooh, I feel it. I feel it real bad.
Listen, boys, lunch is on the gold card. Don't worry about it.
Craft services for the studio.
So this question is for Becky. All right, you've been through your journey, and you're still going through it.
Heck yeah.
And what would you recommend someone else that's in your place right now, who you were like 3 years ago maybe? What would you tell them, whatever it is that you would tell them to either encourage them or maybe even like some direction on what to do? Because there are plenty of art students out there who are going to be where you are.
Especially for art students, but anybody in college in general, like college isn't it. I thought when I was in college that was where, especially as an artist, that was where you kind of made your name. That was where you started all your work and everything. It's not. Just enjoy it. I was going to say experiment, but don't do that. Don't experiment in college.
What, man?
Artistically and creatively, be brave. Be able to try things you're not completely comfortable with.
No comment.
Listen, it's not a podcast like without at least like one drug reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the rule? Nice.
But be okay with not being okay, and let life kind of throw you for a loop, and that's normal. And just because life doesn't go the way you thought it would, and just because opportunities are coming your way that you didn't expect, it doesn't mean it's bad. And I mean, I'm sticking with college just because that was the biggest hurdle I came with.
Absolutely.
Don't keep your expectations low, but just be okay with just breathing after college is over. Right now, I'm just really
Say
enjoying
breathing?
having money again.
Did you say breathing?
Breathing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not breathing.
Yeah, I heard
breathing.
breathing for a second. I was like,
I mean, you can do that too.
yeah, whatever
Dream
works.
big,
But
kid.
I just want to make sure that
Quote,
that the advice
the
gets
studio, enjoy breeding.
But yeah, I know there's so much advice I could give, but it comes down to be okay with not being okay. Don't compare your story to other people's, and just let life take you for a ride. Don't be so quick to put your life in a box and in a perfect plan, and just
too much control.
go with
can,
the flow.
Can limit you.
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
So that's all she wrote. Hit the gas. Don't get stuck in second gear. Let it ride.
Speed limit is 65.
19,000 out the door.
Everything on black. Milk this pony till she dies,
There it
boys.
And that's the studio. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. If you like the show, please rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. If you feel like supporting us in a more direct way, you can check out our Patreon page linked in the description of this video. One last thing. Please let your friends know about the podcast. If you like the show, we're sure they'll like it too. If you'd like to reach out to us, send us an email at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. We appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next time. I don't like to have fun, Eric. Eric.